early in the morning, I put breakfast at your table. And make sure that your coffee has its sugar and cream. Your eggs are over easy, your toast done lightly. All it's missing is your morning kiss. You used to greet me. Now you say that juice is sour. Oh, it used to be so sweet. And I can't not help but think that you are talking about me. Hi everybody, it is Princess Ariel. I am back with more on the universe of Laverne Cox with the cast and crew of Olay and Friends. And now I stumbled upon a video with Angelica Ross on her No Opportunity Wasted Now podcast. So what we're going to do is start listening in on some of her commentary, and then we will discuss.
Instead of helping to silence them, like the rest of the world has been doing. The Zionists have been calling up opportunities and saying, shut that, get rid of her. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, I've had to recalibrate my community. I've had to actually go back and strengthen those boundaries that I had when it comes to being in community with me. I'm not going to let you continue to play in my face and call me community, because that's not community. If we're not accountable to each other, if we can't be accountable to each other, then we're not community. And that brings me to the conversation that went on about Laverne Cox and her, MAGA boyfriend, and the whole dating situation that went down on Olay. Let me see. Tarani saying, you wear your life journey well, Auntie. I would never know you're in any pain ever. You're always so responsive, so empathetic, so kind. You really are the girls of girls. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tarani. Listen, there's a reason that is your experience, and that is what that is, and that is because I have been practicing Eastern Buddhism for 15 years. So, with 15 years of practice, we go from a place of being so drowned and overwhelmed in our own suffering, in our own situations, that all we have room for is to focus on ourselves, and that's okay. So you have to do that sometimes, but then Buddhism gives you this broad capacity. It breaks open your heart. It expands your capacity to be able to have room for someone else, even when you yourself don't have that much. Because what I know is that suffering is not a solitary experience. It is something that is collective. The whole world is suffering. We just enter in a different flavor of it. So we can't sit here and act like we're the only ones going through something. So that I refuse to do. I refuse to act like I'm the only one suffering. Sure, I've lost a lot of jobs. Sure, I have. I'm sorry, there's a lot of...
Okay, so that's kind of like some of her open commentary starting into her chatter about Laverne Cox. And so she has established that she is a practicing Buddhist, and that, it has opened her and expanded her way of thinking about the world that she lives in. I don't know if that has anything to do with why she was caping for Jill Stein during the Kamala Harris run for the presidency, but she sat over there the whole time and was pretty much trashing the Democrats and Kamala Harris and telling people to run down there and vote and pull that lever for Jill Stein. And Jill Stein is not about no black liberation. There's so much talk amongst all of these black trans girls about black liberation that it just seems like it's a check. It really is giving like how non-melanated people have done African American people for years. They'll cling on to a desperate situation and channel all their energy and time into a way to monopolize a check or some money off of the expense of African American people who are already suffering and going through hell in their everyday life. Hold on, let me see if I can find her next little section, and we'll just continue on listening to some of her opening talk. Give me 1 second, it's going to go to a commercial. Let me pause.
Share this tab here and the audio, yes. Alright, so I kind of queued it up already, alright? So we're going to hear where, I guess, my name comes into the story. And if you haven't seen this already, after this, go ahead and go over to Olay and Friends. Click subscribe to join. I love her conversations. But let's listen to this conversation real quick. Oh, shoot. And you know what? Wait, before I do that, actually, I don't know why I don't have headphones on right now. My goodness, early. Let me put my headphones on really quick so that I can...
I'll fast forward a little bit.
My headphones my attention. So we're going to just play it out, and we're going to see. Let me know if y'all get an echo. I hope you don't. Oh, my goodness. But let's see here.
So this is no
That's
years
Quay.
back. I know you've been hopping on the Pink Me for a long
Quay
time,
talking about
and nowhere on the BDS list where you're supposed to avoid
So
Pink
y'all
Me.
probably didn't
So
hear it. I just turned my
I saw that we were at Angelica's house in not Woodland Hills
So she's acknowledging that they all hang out at each other's place in Woodland
where
Hills.
Angelica wants no hearts because she already said her piece, and I will deliver the message. Laverne said, and you were happy about it.
Great.
Laverne was like, I'm dating this guy. I got the photos, and she shows the photos at the end. He is real bugged. You know, he does look good. I see why why your pussy has to go unethical for a minute. Angelica in that moment said you were dating your oppressor, and she let all her shit be known. I don't think that she executive produced her short film Motherhood, where I played the first pregnant trans woman. But so I kept my mouth shut, and I was like, love wins. But Angelica read you, and Angelica let it be known that she was not with it. And this was in 2022. This is before you came to it with the internet and made the One Woman Show.
Right. So so I'm pausing that for a second because, like, so I guess like Quay was saying is that I text messaged Laverne first off, and I was just like, obviously I commended her for doing that, but I also didn't quite remember that conversation as Quay gave the recap of that conversation. I don't exactly remember saying those exact words. Does it sound like something I would say? Absolutely. So I'm definitely not denying it that is what I said, because that definitely sounds like something I would say. But what I do know is that I've always considered Laverne to be a friend. So to me, I never, and I think Quay, as somebody who was there, would probably attest to this as well, is that I wasn't attacking her. I wasn't. I'm not someone who does things with a mean spirit or who I don't know. I just am honest. And it wasn't even just about dating the oppressor. It was just like I think that was like the short form of what I would say. But I think that
We'll pause it right there. So basically, she's kind of throwing Quay under the bus now, calling Quay like being messy, which she was. All of them are friends. They all hang out at Angelica's place in Woodland Hills. So I don't see the point of all of this if their politics all seem to align to me. They all seem to be anti-democratic. Laverne is dating a mega person. Okay, that's fine. When people are dating, they ain't discussing no freaking politics in their household. There's plenty of American relationships where one person is maybe into politics, the other person may not be. Not everybody votes. Not everybody has the opportunity to vote. So it's all across the board. Where all of this disdain and anger and misplaced crazy is coming from, it's over my pay grade because, like I said, Angelica is a Jill Stein person. Obviously, she was getting a check from that campaign. She had to have been getting some money from it, otherwise she wouldn't have been caping for that woman. There's no reason for a person of color to get behind a third party about Palestine, and that was your only concern, knowing that there was Project 2025 sitting right there for everybody to read, knowing that Jill Stein had no interest in doing anything for people of color, none. And it wasn't her first merry-go-round running for, a third party. She'd done it before. So why Angelica got on board with all of this, I really believe it was just to collect a check. All of this hoopla around Laverne's dating someone who's a Republican, and he's a cop in New York City. He's younger than her, and, she got her three years of bliss. Good for her. Because all of these other girls are getting their bliss too from whoever they're dating. So why is it all of a sudden nobody's angry with Angelica, who was clearly trashing Kamala Harris, clearly trashing the Democratic Party for XYZ? She just was, kicking out the backside of her rear end with her Wow Now podcast. And I watched a lot of it, and I just was like, I don't see this going to end well for black, trans, and LGBT people. I don't know about the non-melanated people, but the black ones, y'all going to get it. Y'all going to feel the fire of Project 2025. I'm sorry, but if you don't vote Democrat and try to keep Orange Man from getting back into office, because he's gonna get his revenge on all of us. And he had already been saying it on his campaign trail. He was coming after the alphabet community. So I already knew what was coming down the pipelines. And then you get Project 2025 in the mix, and you're just like, oh God, we're all in danger here. So why are you sitting over there in your little closet or house or wherever it is, your mansion over there in Woodland Hills, caping for Jill Scott. You had to be collecting a check. You like money. Your whole thing about you, from the time that you came on the scene with Pose and the way that you talk about yourself, when I'm talking about Angelica, it's all about getting that bag. And there's nothing wrong with getting a bag, but is it getting a bag kind of like Candace Owen at the expense of throwing all of your community under the bus, but you're doing it in a whole different direction? You're using it as a third party, like, oh my God, these Democrats are horrible, they're the worst. You wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for Democrats. So you have to give the Democratic Party some credit for all of your civil rights. Those rights for you to be able to sit in your house and talk against your own people. You have to give Democrats the ability that, you could survive in the world free living as a trans woman. You can thank Barack Obama for that. That was a Democrat. So it's so much hypocrisy in all of this conversation amongst all of these girls who claim that they're friends. I don't know if I would consider people like that my friend if I felt like that they just blew me up, threw me under the table, knowing that their politics literally aligned with the mega guy that I was dating. Your alliance is with Jill Scott. She's not melanated. That's a white lady. The guy that she's dating, Laverne's dating, is a white man. So she was in a relationship with him. She was promoting her show. She had broken up with the dude after she discovered their politics didn't align. It didn't come up for a long time until, the 3-year marker for her, and she bailed out. So why is there all this mass hysteria around her, but nobody's questioning this girl over here who's with this podcast, is out here clearly caping for someone who don't give a crap about Palestine, doesn't give a crap about black liberation, but you sit there and with all your Buddhism and all your free thinking and all your greatness and your mind expansion, you're with this lady. I don't believe you. I just don't. Let's listen to a little bit more.
That she knows is a little bit deeper than that. And there's a couple reasons why I say that. One of the reasons, obviously they talked about desirability politics, and, so we have to talk about desirability politics. We know that, like, in the trans community, when it comes to dating, sometimes that pool can be small, and sometimes we end up dating the same guys. But me and Laverne, I would laugh because I know y'all probably know Trace Lissette, the white trans girl. Me and Trace Lissette are more likely to have a crossover and either cross-reference each other about who we used to date or who we're dating than me and Laverne would ever have crossover. And I know that
Hollywood
Laverne has
conversation.
always been attracted.
They're talking about the men in Hollywood that they did to Sunny Davis.
She's been attracted to white men.
It's a whole planet
And
full of
I think
men.
that they also
Just
kind
contradicting.
of called out the fact that when you are a leading lady on television and you're doing different things, you do have some say sometimes in being able to say, I'd like my love interest to be black. And I think that people were, I think, again, we're right to call out the fact that when you have these opportunities, the more you gain privilege, the more you use that privilege to create opportunities for your community as well as yourself.
Let's pause
to see
right
yourself.
there. Okay, so this is my thing. All of this talk about, wanting to see trans women on film with black men, wanting to see more black actresses with black men, and create stories around that, and I get that. However, in reality, a lot of black men don't like dark-skinned black women. They don't want darker-skinned women. They don't want dark-skinned trans women. And over the last years, we've seen so many black trans sisters murdered by their black boyfriends, by their black tricks, their guys that they're, prostituting with or hooking up with or whatever, the ones that they're dating, all across the board. Murder after murder after murder after murder after murder after murder after murder. No, that doesn't even come into play right here. It's almost like it's over her head, over her pay grade. She has dated outside of her race, which she talks about. So even more hypocrisy of it all is that you're sitting here judging this girl for dating a white man, but you've dated an Italian man in Florida, in Boca, of all places. And I lived in Florida for 10 years. I never crossed paths with her because I was in Orlando, but I would travel down there to Miami, every so often, and I never run across any of them girls. Not even T.S. Madison. I didn't see any of them, but I didn't go into, those dangerous areas where T.S. are from. I saw, Pembroke Pines and all of that, but no. No, ma'am. I drove in and drove right out. It was not, no, ma'am. But not to get too far off of the topic, but they're always talking about centering black men in their conversations. But have they ever thought that black men don't want them? Because when I go out my door, I see black men with every race of woman but us. And I see them every night. I could come on TikTok and I open up my thing. The black guys will not talk to me. If it is, they're from out of the country. They're from Africa, which that's always been my experience. I dated guys in Africa. I wasn't even dating nobody in the United States. My first boyfriend was a white guy. He unfortunately passed away. I never could imagine myself ever being without him. But life happened. He died, and I had to move on with my life. I never had a bunch of black guys trying to talk to me. They never would, especially in Florida. All of them seem to date other races of women. You can look at TS's family. All of her brothers are black. All that pro-black shit she be talking all the time, it goes right over my head because you're looking at all them white little mixed race kids. They don't look white. They don't even look black, you know. And so your brothers are dating outside their, outside of black women. And you say you're pro-black, this, that, and the other, but your family, it's all telling, which tells about the United States from inception that when we were being stolen, our ancestors were being stolen, those captors were having sex and making babies with those slaves, enslaved people, those trafficked people, I should say. Those Africans, when they arrived to the Americas, they already had their mixed race children from the door. You know the story of George Washington and Mary Helmsley, or however you say her name, that she was a slave. That man was married to a white lady, Martha. So while he was having a relationship and making babies with the slave girl, which was a child, and then years later people make this into some romantic, oh my God, they were so in love. And it's like, stop that. That was not romantic. He was raping a little kid. He was SAing a little kid and having children with her. Period. So while we're going across, these shock and awe of Laverne dating, how dare you date Mega, girl, that's been from the door. That's been from the door. And you're not having a real conversation about anything because you go outside your door every day in West Hollywood and Hollywood. It's nothing but mixed race people. It's all interracial relationships and mixed race kids all over. You can go from the Spielbergs on down to all the directors and everything. Their little black wives and their little families and stuff. And forget it. That's just what it is. Tamron Hall. I mean, the list goes on and on. So why is it such shock and awe about Laverne? I don't get it. Even in my own family, it's mixed race people. It's Italian and Mexican. Very close, nephew and brothers. So why is this a thing? It shouldn't be a thing for any African American person. Somewhere in your family is somebody white. Whether you DNA stick yourself and see where the history of it all started from, and it has been through oppression. It's been through colonization, having your culture bred out of you, and you're adopting someone else's culture and accepting it, and you forget exactly where you came from. You don't even know what part of Africa you're from. Let's go on and listen to a little bit more of this.
And, so I feel like Laverne maybe have been living, her own, I think, and Laverne and I have had this conversation, so let me actually back it up a little bit. But the thing is that, whether it was on CBS on Doubt when I played one of her girlfriends, and she was at a law firm, her love interest was right there, or whether it was on Clean Slate, I was just like, damn, another white love interest, you know what I mean? And I am someone who has been radically invested in black love because I know that black love heals. I know that black love has healed me. I know that by being radical and with my love for black men, I have been able to shift my experience with black men. And so I don't have the same experience as many other people do. There are plenty of black men who I have dated, who want to date me, who want to date me publicly, not all of them, but there are definitely several that would love to date me publicly. I may not have chosen them. I'm currently dating a black man right now. And so, and one who would gladly claim me, and tried, one would love to claim me years ago, but, sometimes, things happen. So, the situation is, before I went on, I know Quay was a little triggered. So let's dial back the hands of time for just a little bit. How many of you remember an interview between me and Laverne Cox on her then show, If We're Being Honest? Okay? So, if we're being honest, I'll tell you what really happened. So, when it came to that interview, her people had reached out to me to interview me. And I said, sure. But I realized, and I think also, yes, thank you so much, Raven McQueen Network, for your contribution. We're going to show that on the screen. Thank you for that. $20. Hey, sis, just saying hello. You look beautiful. Thank you so much, Raven.
This feels like a great
So, as I was saying, though, so her team booked me to be on her show. And then Laverne called me, or Laverne texted me. She said, "Hey, I know we're going to be doing an interview tomorrow, and we haven't talked in a long time, so let's talk." You know. And so her and I had a conversation on the phone before we actually got to her show, and we had a very blunt conversation. And she said, "Okay, let's talk about these things, on the show the next day." And so we did talk about a lot of those things. And I would tell you that some of those things I said, because people who know me know that I'm not a girl. People who want to gossip and be all kind of backhanded, hide their hands about stuff, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you about me. Everything that I say, publicly and privately, can be checked. And what I mean by checked can be verified or checked in the sense of accountability, because I'm not always right about everything. But
For sure.
what I know is that we had this conversation, and there was a lot of things that hit the cutting room floor. And I know they hit the cutting room floor because it might not have made her look in the best light about the things that I was saying, but I was being honest, if we're being honest. And so, at that time, I told her that I have reached out to you several times to want to figure out, how do we bring our star power together? How do we stop waiting for them to greenlight our stuff and we greenlight ourselves? But over the years, and she said in the text message, I can never figure out the right opportunity, was kind of her response. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, I'm trying to connect with any and everybody to create something out of nothing. But I told her then on her show that I felt like we were allowing, and when I said we, I more so meant her, that she was allowing this industry to shoot our stars into opposite ends of the galaxy so that we could not come together and use our star power together.
Let's go ahead and stop there. So she's talking about wanting to collaborate with Laverne, and Laverne kind of snubbed her or whatever. I don't know exactly how I really feel about all of the conversations about them making money and working together, because all of these girls at some point have worked with, Ryan. Is his name Ryan Coogler or something like that? The one that directed Pose. That's where I first saw Angelica come on the scene. After that, I was kind of down the rabbit hole with all of these new faces and following them and following their careers just to see where it goes and see how far they get. And out of all of them, I think Angelica did very well for herself. She went from a movie role, and then I saw her go on Broadway. And then after the Broadway thing, it was very short. She went right on to her closet in her house and started that No Opportunity Wasted. I call it Next Now, but it's just now. No Opportunity Wasted. And she's been there ever since in that little cubbyhole or whatever is in her little office space, doing that podcast and interviewing people and stuff like that. And then right around the whole thing with Joe Biden being pushed out and Kamala coming in, that's when she came out as she wanted to be a political figure and she wanted to run. And she, had embodied all this new energy for a disdain for Democrats and Kamala Harris. And it was like, where's all this coming from? You're black. You're a black girl. I don't care how much money you get in Hollywood. I don't care how great those checks are that are coming in. You're still a black woman in America and you're dark skinned. So how is that going to work if the orange man gets back in and they get to unfold Project 2025? And now it's already unfolded. Now they're fixing to roll out Project Esther, which is supposed to exterminate all the alphabets permanently off the planet. They're not going to ship you off somewhere. They're going to exterminate you. That's how it reads. If you don't believe it, Google it, ChatGPT it, AI it, whatever you got to do, find out what that Project Esther is going to do. I find it frightening that she wasted everybody's time with this pro-black stuff when she's dated somebody out of another race, probably several people out of other races. She's all across the board with it in this. If you want to go back and listen to all of her podcasts, I got through most of the 2 hours of it. It was a lot, and it's very long-winded. I still am sitting over here just trying to figure out how all of you guys are best friends and y'all all hang out at your house, but somehow Laverne Cox's story, which was promoting her show, was the issue. When all of you date outside your race, every single one of you, myself included, black men aren't attracted to me in the United States. I have to go outside the United States to even have guys tell me I'm pretty and I'm good looking, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not desperate for the guys that are here in the States who find me unattractive and don't find me appealing, because they're obviously looking at other races of women. They want that straight hair, they want that blonde hair, those blue eyes. They want that Hispanic booty and, milky look. And that's fine if that's what they choose to date. There was no desperation here when it comes to dating, because I just allow people who are attracted to me to come to me, and that's how it's always been. as far as all of them dating the same person, out there in Hollywood. So maybe they're just limited to what they can get, and they all cross the swamp, spit, or whatever. But I was going out of the country. I was all in North Africa, West Africa. You know, I was trying to make my way east, but that's a little bit harder because of Sudan, because Sudan is in wartime, and some of those areas, Rwanda and I think it's Djibouti and some of these other areas, girl, no ma'am, I'm not gonna go over there. But I really was trying to find a connection with, you know, guys that are attracted to me and allow me to be me. But I made some mistakes dating, you know, an Arab guy. Well, he's not Arab, he's African guy that was Egyptian. And we got married, and that didn't work out. He was cheating. He was with a Canadian white lady. She messaged me and pretty much told me that he was giving her all my money and stuff like that. And I was devastated. We broke up, and I separated from him, and we're done. We've been done since 2010. And so I look at these girls, and I'm way older than them. So I don't look up to them. I just admire the paths that they've taken in their careers, because I wanted a career that was going to be in film and TV and stage and stuff like that. That's what I went to school for initially. That's how I ended up at Disney World in Florida for a decade, working in the parks and building up my career and buying my first house and getting my first Jeep, only to be exposed as trans and run off the job, you know, and I lost everything. I keep rolling back to not one of them girls would care about my story, and no one has ever, you know, paid any attention to me because of the way I look. I'm dark skinned, I don't look pretty and thin, I don't have that little egg-shaped head like T.S. Madison and Angelica Ross and Laverne. They got that little oval-shaped head that's so perfect, big old noses, high cheekbones and all of that. I don't look like that. I look more like my mom, and I think my mom is beautiful, so it didn't stop me in dating. I dated any and everybody, especially in Florida. If you are a trans girl and you want to date, just go to Florida. It's a smorgasbord of men. Even with Ron DeSantis and all them people down there with Alligator Alcatraz, gone down there anyway. You're going to get what you're going to get because they going to find you. It ain't that hard. And I had myself a good old time. I did. And so I just wasn't dating anybody African American and black. They weren't attracted to me. Every black guy that I saw was with somebody not black. I swear to God to you. And that's just what it is. I didn't lose any sleep about it because it looked like America it's like we're divided. We as black people, these are black conversations, as black people are never going to come together. We're like a puzzle piece. We're spread all over the place, all over the planet. And we can't seem to come eye to eye on anything when it comes to politics and coming to supporting community and having a real community to help each other. And as you can hear in this girl's voice, she feels a way that Laverne wasn't trying to collaborate her and help her get her next check. Like I said, all of this stuff to me with these girls, even with T.S. Madison, Quay, the Olay lady, all of them are just grifting. And I mean, in the words of grifting, it's just bringing up black conversations just to keep the masses of people listening and watching and donating and going. But in reality, when you're in Hollywood, it's not black. You see one black person and you'll see them with somebody of another race. That's just the norm. If you come to the South, you're going to see that all over the board. Even all these mega people that live here. I live in a red state, Arkansas, and it's all mixed people, interracial couples, a lot of mega grandmas, non-melanated with their little brown and black children. I see them every day. I leave out my doorstep all day, every day. And I just sit there and why did y'all vote red? How is that going to work out with y'all, all y'all mixed race kids? I go down to the Mexican restaurant and it's loaded with non-melanated people. But you want the Hispanic and Mexican people out of the country. Well, who gonna cook your Mexican food for you? Y'all know that place be packed. So I don't get it. I don't understand it. I feel like Angelica is a big time grifter. Everything about her to me and from the inside says she's all about staying away from where she came. which she said she was trafficked. I don't know if she was a trafficker or participant. I don't know her story, but that was what I got from her from the time I found out about her from Pose. Because I was definitely listening in on all of their little conversations and their little, when they were out there making their coins, interviewing every magazine and doing all the bullshit. So I remember all of it. I just couldn't fit it. That's not my story. But I remember her saying she was trafficked and then she got into tech. And that's how she got out of trafficking. So everything seems to try to keep yourself ahead of the game. Like, where can I get my next bag? And I think that's just a thing for her. I don't know. It just seems like her, Madison, same thing. Everybody's trying to get their next bag, And luckily for Madison, she's got RuPaul, Beyonce, and I'm not saying she don't deserve it. She does deserve everything that she's gotten. I think when she's in her head, like just really telling people I'm the shit, I'm y'all's mama, and all of that, it kind of goes over my head because I'm like, that's narcissism. I think Angelica has a narcissism. I think all of these girls have narcissism. I myself probably have some form of narcissism because I'm never going to let go of the fact that I was a Disney princess. I was one of them damn girls. I didn't always look like this, all thickalicious and everything, but I was, I was a dancer. And I was a VIP girl at the straight bar. I wasn't even at a gay club. The gay clubs didn't want me. Them queens was tearing my ass up. They didn't want to see my black tail. They don't like black girls. They don't like, that's just what it was. That's Florida. And so I don't have any animosity to anybody. I'm just trying to continue to drive it home that if you're going to have conversations about black empowerment, just be honest and stop lying and stop making all this mass hysteria when every last single one of y'all dated outside y'all race. And 9 times out of 10, when you was doing what you were doing, you weren't asking questions about somebody's politics. That didn't even come into play because a lot of you girls said you were whores. It came out of your mouth and not mine. Own what you are. And a whore is not looking at your skin color, and they definitely ain't looking at your politics. And that's for every last one of them girls on Pose who said they were on the streets being trafficked or whatever the hell that means. Or was it just all black guys then that was trafficking you? Because I doubt that it was any black guys trafficking you because they don't like y'all dark skin tails. And that's just what it is. They don't want you. While you telling Laverne, oh, you should just only date black men, that black men don't want her. She had to date somebody. Hell, if she got something out of it, good for her. That's her life. I'm gonna sit there and wait to date a black guy and wait and watch them just consistently go out with other races of women, and then sit there and have this little delusion in my head that, oh, one day one of them are gonna want me. If you don't believe that colorism amongst black people is a thing, I invite every last one of you to come to my TikTok live. I do it every night. From 10 Central Time, somewhere between 10 and 11, to about 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. And you can sit there and watch. Whenever I encounter another black face and I'm just trying to play that match game, they will not even speak. And if they do, they will quickly be very rude and call me grandma. Or they'll say, you need to go to bed, grandma. Or they'll just say hi and then they'll flip the camera off. And I'm talking about the United States black people. I'm not talking about the ones from internet. The internationals from Africa and abroad, brown people, treat me like a princess. Just like this. When I walk out in the world, nobody's questioning anything about me because they normally don't see nobody black. They're not looking for us. Ain't nobody looking for you because you're black. And so just because you're Angelica Ross, your face is out there now, and you feel that you have a responsibility to uphold and help black trans women. But girl, you don't speak for me. The way you live your life as a Buddhist and the stuff that you do personally that I've seen you doing, no. We don't have, other than our dark skin, that's about all we got. And we have African DNA in us, and that's it. The way you carry yourself ain't nothing near close to the way I carry myself. So I'm not going to look up to you. I can admire you in your accomplishments, yes, and I do. But your politics definitely don't align with mine because I was 100% for Democrats, and I definitely was hoping and praying that we will not be under Project 2025, The Handmaid's Tale, and now Project Esther, which is rolling steadily in this direction towards all of us and putting all of us in danger. And I think you did a disservice to the campaign of Kamala Harris when you said on that podcast and told people to run down there and vote for Jill Stein. And then you had the audacity to go over there and try to talk to Laverne about who she's dating MAGA. Girl, please. All of y'all sound so crazy to me right now. It's stupid. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I just think you like, share, and follow. And you go over there and watch the Next Now 2-hour event with Angelica Ross and talking about Laverne and the Olay and Friends. I think it's worth listening to. I think you'll get a deeper understanding of where I'm coming from, and you'll get a deeper understanding about how Angelica lives her life in the many faces of her, because she's kind of changed over the years from Pose. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe I just wasn't seeing her clearly. But she seems like a different person to me. I don't know what her Buddhist practices have done for her to help her. I'm glad that it was healing for her. I don't get it. But okay, that's her choice. That's her religious beliefs or whatever. And she's sharing that with you guys out there who want to follow down that road. I hope you guys, stick to your beliefs and your practices of Buddha, and you always have to humble yourself. And you can do that in the Baptist religion. They always tell us that anyway. Humble yourself. Somebody to tell T.S. Madison and Craig that. Humble yourself. But they don't know what that means because now they have money and they're rich and all that. Money changes people. I get that. And if that's the way money makes you behave, God bless. Because we're seeing the non-melanated giants and how they went down there and kissed the ring of the orange man and gave him all that money so they could kind of wrangle in all the brown and black people. That's what money does to you when you get to the billionaire class. So marinate on all that, everybody. Like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, I invite you to my TikTok. It's late night. It's Ariel Emmy 1313. Like, share, and follow. Subscribe. Leave a comment if you agree that all of this Laverne Superwoman hype is it's just too much. And I'm enjoying it because I keep seeing it. It just keeps popping up. So I just keep talking about it and posting. So hopefully people will sit down and hear my story and dig down my rabbit hole and see what the hell I went through as a trans woman at Disney World. I find that is an interesting story. But since I'm ugly and unattractive and older, nobody cares. So they say they love me, but they don't. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.